Okay, so hi, I'm Adam. I'm one of the co-founders at DecenScore, and today we're going to be talking about on-chain reputation, and specifically around on-chain reputation, we're going to be talking about user acquisition, why it's broken right now in crypto, and how DecenScore makes it a lot better for users and for protocols. So first, I want to take a step back 2 years and go back to the story behind DecenScore and why it even exists today. So the team back then was working on something called Atomic Blue, which was DEX, that decentralized exchange, DEX, which was used to swap tokens with the best liquidity from one token to another for users, kind of like 1inch. And the team worked super hard on having a great user experience, on having really secure smart contracts, on making sure the product made sense and it was going to offer great rates to users. But they had this problem. They didn't have a great community to launch to. They wanted to launch to the best users in Ethereum at the time, but it's really difficult to kind of find those users and reach out to them and communicate with them. You just have Etherscan and Telegram DMs, but there's kind of problems with both of those. Telegram, you're just DMing people, you don't actually know if they're even good. And then on Etherscan, sure, you can find a cool wallet, but can you find 100 wallets like that? And can you communicate with them to let them know you've been launched? Not really. So this is not working. So the team launched DecenScore. Could I get some assistance?
Yeah, let's try and fix it.
This doesn't work.
Yeah.
So the team launched DecenScore as a side project to bring on the great users onto Atomic Blue. So it's okay. Can we manually do it? Can I just tell you when to change slides?
Oh, no.
No problem.
Oh, no. Didn't pay for the license, huh?
Yeah, it's okay.
Do you have a cool story for us? I don't know. Just from your life.
I don't know. I think we're going to tell you a really cool story right now. So I think next slide. It's not working, yeah?
Yeah, it's not working. Do you have the URL?
Yeah, I do have something. I also have a URL I can just send you. What's your, maybe Telegram? Or your
Yeah, Telegram.
Telegram? Sure. So, 1 second, guys. What is it? BZ.
Was it Celine Dion, or
Yeah,
which one was it?
Another Z
T?
and T.
I don't have Wi-Fi.
Give me a Google.
Yeah.
There. This one?
Mm-hmm. 1 sec.
I also know my phone.
Or maybe on yours it's working, right?
Yeah, you can just plug mine in.
It totally happens all the time, guys. Right? It's fine. We'll survive this.
Honestly, just do this, and just go like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just tell you when to change. Sorry, guys, just 1 second. I spent a lot of time on the slides, so would like them to come to light. Yeah. That should be fine. Is it going to plug up?
Get up.
Yeah, that's cool. IT guy is under a lot of pressure at the moment. Yeah, so I'm just going to kind of start walking through it, and then we'll just pick up the slides when they come. So we take you back. We had Atomic Blue, this 1inch-like product. We worked really hard on it, and it was time to launch that product, but we had no community. And so they built this side project called DecenScore, which was just kind of hacked together. And the way DecenScore worked was we looked at, and we thought of the coolest actions you could do in DeFi at that time. So maybe it was like algorithmic stablecoin that you were advancing the epochs to make sure the thing worked. Or maybe it was an early curve farmer or early Wi-Fi farmer. Those were really interesting actions at the time. Or maybe you got rugged by one of Andre's many experiments on chain. And these are all things that we thought made a great user and someone who really understood DeFi at a deeper level. So they put together all these actions and launched DegenScore. And they initially, sent the URL to DegenScore out to crypto influencers to get some feedback. And one of them was Andre Cronje. And while the team was asleep, in Berlin, Andre decided to tweet the link on Twitter. And Andre at the time had a big Twitter following, so thousands of people started to rush into DegenScore, which was totally not ready for launch. It was just a beta, and immediately crashed the site. So Angelo, one of the co-founders of DegenScore, woke up in the middle of the night to look at his phone flooded with Twitter notifications, explaining, why is DegenScore down? It's broken. What the heck is this product? I want to get my DegenScore. And there's a bit of like a dream come true and a curse at the same time for a founder who just launched their first kind of project. And so he gets in the car and starts driving through the middle of the night to Adrian while calling him every 5 minutes. And Adrian's kind of the DevOps guy on the team. And Adrian finally wakes up and realizes what's going on, kickstarts the servers again, and by the DegenScore starts working again, and by the end of the week, thousands of users from all over the internet had come to DegenScore to get their score for the first time and kind of see how they measure up with their on-chain skills. And this was like a super cool thing because it gave us a lot of insights. So one of them was, every team needs good users. Whether you're launching an NFT project, whether you're launching a perpetual swap project, it doesn't matter. If you're building something in crypto, you need good users who are relevant to your product to come check you out. It's really hard to find them on chain right now. There was no way for us to message these users. There's no way for us to even, unless we built DegenScore, there was no way to kind of find the perfect user and then find 100 of the same archetypes or cohort of that type of user. And so we felt like that kind of user acquisition journey right now was really broken. And one way to solve this is by looking at a user's on-chain history, because that on-chain history tells a story that can form their reputation, which can do a bunch of stuff, which we're just discovering right now. So with these kind of 3 insights, we went into the next phase of DegenScore. So now I want to take a step back and kind of talk about current solutions for user acquisition in crypto. So before a project has a token, they're going to use Telegram, Twitter, general kind of communities to try and bootstrap a community. And this is actually really inefficient because you are manually trying to create great content, interesting insights. If you don't already have a reputation as a builder in crypto, it's going to be really hard to get credibility and to get draw demand and traffic to your product and to your communities. And you're also going to get random people shilling dog tokens and asking for seed phrases all the time. And so this is challenging to deal with and have a really high signal, good quality community from the get-go. Once you have a token out there, you can do something called liquidity mining, which basically means you are rewarding actions that are happening on your project with your native token. Basically paying users to do good things on your project, like provide liquidity or other core actions. But this is super expensive for protocols to do. It's like selling equity at a massive discount to thousands of people. Generally, it's very large investors that don't really care about your project, who will end up kind of dumping your token, and it becomes very difficult to run a proper governance process down the road if the liquidity mining process is not managed super well. No problem. Okay, and so there's clearly some inefficiencies in the way user acquisition currently works in crypto and the tools that we currently have. If we look at what has happened in the last kind of 10 years in user acquisition in the internet, before crypto, people would often run Google AdWords or Facebook ads to run a targeted campaign. So if I was launching a dog treat, I would set up a cohort of people who love dog treats of this certain type that are searching for it actively and would put together a Google campaign. And that works, and those businesses are worth billions of dollars now. But we think there's a better way to kind of run user acquisition, and we don't want to run spammy ads. That we don't believe that should be the future of crypto. We think a user's kind of reputation should unlock opportunities for them. And it's in a really targeted way based off kind of what's happening on chain. Because the whole landscape's changed because we all live on Ethereum or your blockchain of choice, which is really exciting. Okay, I'm just going to use these for myself.
Sorry.
No worries. Okay. So we saw that users, really needed to find good projects and good protocols to invest in and explore. The team was, we're a very small team, but we were all on Twitter, following our favorite developers, our favorite projects, looking for alpha, looking for cool investments during DeFi summer. But it's a super unstructured way to generate information. On the other side, you have protocols that really need good quality users to launch with. And right now, it's super difficult to build a good quality community. And when I say good quality community, I mean users that are relevant to you based off their on-chain activity from day one, from when you launch. And so we saw this kind of two-sided problem. And we decided to build something called the DegenScore Cafe, which is a place where protocols can come and projects can come and list their project and then gate their project in the smart contracts by the user's DegenScore, which is basically the first reputational application we've developed. So, users, if they have a certain DegenScore, can apply to an opportunity and then enter the new product launch on the allow list, or maybe it's better financial incentives in the product, or there's so many different ways that a protocol can kind of incentivize good usage. But the core thing to remember here is that we are able to gate access to opportunities by a user's reputation. And that user's reputation on chain unlocks opportunity for them. So I want to talk about one case study that we've done with Gearbox. So Gearbox is a cool protocol that's being developed right now. They're currently working on their V2. And what they do is kind of on-chain leverage that's composable. So you can go on Gearbox, you can create a little account, and then go to your favorite protocols and get instant leverage, which is super cool to run different strategies on. So they built the V1, and they wanted to build the V2, but they wanted to really keep it exclusive. They only have the best users in Ethereum be able to try out their V2 and deposit significant amounts of capital during the beta period to really test the plumbing in the smart contracts. And so they came to DegenScore, and they said, we want you're the best users you can find in Ethereum, beyond your own community, just in general in Ethereum, and work with us to bring them onto the V2 so we can give them a great product experience and make them basically capital, make them allow them to run really cool strategies. And so we put together this campaign. We set the DegenScore at 1,000, which is very high. It's a lot higher than mine. And we attracted 100 users who submitted addresses. And now those users are projected to deposit $5 million USDC into Gearbox to really test the process out. And this kind of user experience, both on the protocol side and on the user side, would not really be possible without that reputational piece from their on-chain identity or on-chain history. So that's just one example of the cafe kind of working in a cool way for a more exclusive launch. So, the cafe is just one application that we've kind of decided to build from DegenScore, because we saw this cool demand that we could start solving right away for protocols and for users. But what's next for DegenScore? So we see ourselves as a reputational layer in Ethereum. So we want someone's DegenScore to pop up in a bunch of different places to kind of enrich the user experience for that individual or that address, and allow them to access opportunities, whether it's a job, whether it's an investment opportunity, whether it's community, have that pop up in a lot of places across different protocols. And so we're working right now to make that more possible. We want to make also the cafe experience way better, because it's still just a few months old, and there's so much we can do there to make it scale, to make it easier for users to access opportunities, to know about opportunities that are relevant to them, and to allow for more protocols of different types to come in and work with us. And we actually have a really cool opportunity launching in like an hour and a half, which I can't talk about yet, but once it's live, you should check it out if you're eligible. And lastly, accessible on-chain reputation. And this is something we've thought about since kind of the inception of DegenScore, is how to make, what is Beaudoin Score's place on chain, and what is that going to look like to make the score more accessible? Because ultimately, if our goal and our mission is to be the reputation layer in Ethereum, there has to be some sort of permissionless way for protocols and projects to interact and integrate with Beaudoin Score. So I can't talk more about that right now, but it's something we're working on, and it should be live in the next few weeks. So if you want to work with Beaudoin Score and leverage what we've built so far, you can launch with us in the cafe. It's super easy. You just have to DM us on Twitter, or you can talk to me after the conference or at the conference, and we can get something going. It's super easy to launch in the cafe, and it's always amazing to me how well it works for protocols to get a lot of users. There's always demand from good on-chain users to come and try out new projects and deposit capital or try out the new feature that they've launched. And also, if you're looking to integrate, if you're a builder and you're looking to integrate more reputational systems into your product, maybe you're an NFT project and you want to launch your NFT but have it only for like the best NFT minters, the people that minted all the top projects, we can do that for you really easily. And so you should chat with us if you want to have more kind of reputational elements in your product, because we believe, it's going to create a more enriching experience for users across crypto if there's more context for each kind of user as they kind of interact on projects and protocols. So that felt really fast, but that's the talk that I have so far. Thanks so much for bearing with us during the slide challenge. And we definitely think, reputation and Ethereum and crypto is in its early stages. It's just starting to get, I think, really interesting right now with some of the kind of thought pieces that are coming out from Vitalik and other kind of research groups. And we're super excited to be building in this space. So if you have any questions about Beaudoin Score or anything that we're building, feel free to reach out. And thanks so much for listening today.
Will you send us your amazing slides that you spent so much time preparing?
Of course, yeah.
Wow.
No problem.
So we should tweet about it or something. Questions? Here one.
Do you have already a solution to the problem that, or of course, some people use multiple addresses?
Yeah, multiple addresses,
for good reasons also.
Yes.
So do you already have or foresee a solution kind of how you, on the one hand, can combine your addresses and say you have the merged, but without ideally, without doxing your addresses?
Yeah, so currently, with the V1 that we launched 2 years ago, you can only go in with one address and get your score. With the V2 that we released a few months ago, now you can group several addresses together and create your profile. We obviously would like zero knowledge proofs and things like that to come a little bit farther to integrate to allow for maybe more privacy, but that's currently where the status quo is. One thing we've really realized, which has been interesting, is that we definitely think in like a multi-address future for a user. Like a power user in crypto will have multiple addresses because you can't, go into an NFT mint with your big wallet because it might, drain your funds. But the way crypto is built right now is it's very address-centric. It's not profile-based, more multi-address, for one user. So we're kind of at a fork in the road right now, which is like whether to go down the single address route or whether to stick to like the profile base where a user has multiple addresses to do integrations with. But with the way that we've decided to build for the next few months, we've been able to mitigate kind of a lot of the challenges there. But yeah, that's a good point.
I understood that it's only for Ethereum. Are you thinking about multi-chain reputation?
Yeah, so I think we started with Ethereum just because that was the home base, and at the time, that's when it was popular. We would love to go multi-chain, and especially up to like Optimism and Arbitrum, and I personally see like Beaudoin Score kind of being across all great ecosystems. Ideally, it's just challenging from an infrastructure point of view to build, and for us, it's really just about prioritization. So we feel like we've kind of touched on something really interesting in Ethereum, and we're seeing some kind of, some demand there, some interesting kind of sparkles going off, and right now our focus is kind of building out applications or making kind of Degen Score more usable. And then once we see that kind of like really start to click and scale in Ethereum, then we'll start to kind of grow and expand across chains. But it's definitely something that we'd like to go into in the future.
Can I ask you, how do you see the alignment to this kind of Web3 ideology of inclusiveness with your cafe stuff? Because essentially, I understand like from the general point of view, it's perfect, especially like coming from Web2. You need to have the users who do like the good private alpha testing of the product. But at the same time, you probably get the question, right? You essentially making it super exclusive for the participants of the whole ecosystem to test the product on the early stages, because if they don't have like enough of the Degen Score, like they're kind of out of the game right there.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think there's this kind of balance between like having an exclusive threshold or gate to the opportunity to make sure that you're not having everyone get in there and having kind of a lot of the same problems that we currently see in the space, which is like just lots of bots and Sybil attacks and everything like that. But also you want to be inclusive enough, depending on the opportunity, to allow kind of people who are pretty new to Ethereum and just starting out, who've maybe done a few swaps on Uniswap and maybe deposit on Aave, to be able to try out an opportunity. And I think it really depends, honestly, on what the partner that we're working with in the cafe wants. So with Gearbox, they really just wanted a lot of the best users because it was really in a testing phase, and they also needed quite a lot of capital from each user. But for other projects like Depop, which is like a 1-inch like product that we launched with, we kept that really inclusive, and as long as you kind of had swapped on Uniswap v3, Matcha, or 1-inch before, you could try out the product. So it really just depends on kind of the application of the partner that we're kind of looking at, and it's a balance.
Right. Yeah, thanks.
More questions over there, a little bit in the back.
I really love the talk and great what you did without the slides. I noticed my Degen score is going lower over time. And since you're not counting other chains, it's going lower and lower.
Yes.
So yeah, maybe one thing is like it's based on like the total number of users and like the more kind of like parameters you include in the scoring system. Do you have a way to also reward maybe a bit meta, but like early Degen score users? Or like, is there like a way, like as a user, if I want to filter out, I don't know, the first 1,000 Degen score users, is there a way for me to do that? Or if I want to filter out like everyone that got hacked on Eminence, for example, or things like that, do you have like an API that you can use to do something like that?
Yeah, so we do have an API that's very much in development. So we're really exploring like how that can be used with different partners and exploring also if that's really the route we want to go down. But I think in the future, we'd like to have an ability for like protocols to kind of be more specific around who they're querying for. There's a little bit of a balance around you don't want to maybe dox someone if you can do like if it's 3 eminence, if things way back and you have like 5 of them, that can only be so many addresses. So we are careful around privacy and kind of what we're making available. But yeah, to answer your question in a few different parts, some of the actions in Degen Score you get to keep forever. So like using Uniswap, you've done that once. It's 1 or 0, binary, great. Some actions we have that are like monthly active user. So if you used Uniswap in the last 30 days, then you get 10 points, for example. Or if you haven't, then it disappears. And so there's kind of a bit of a balance of that. So if you're super active in Ethereum for like a few months, you're going to get more points for that month than not. But I think there's so much cool stuff you can do around segmentation into cohorts and groups and we've only just started really with that. We're really just only done Degen Score as like a metric instead of like, all of, like the early eminence people who got hacked or all the curve farmers. And it's a bit of a balance of kind of, it's cool to do that, but is it actually useful for the partner? Because often we've seen the partner just wants good DeFi users. So it's a bit of an exploration there, but yeah, we'd like to do more segmentation, and we're still developing tools to make that more widely accessible.
Thank you.
Someone else? There's 2 questions.
Hey, thanks for your presentation. So you talked about combining addresses to a profile. So how does the cafe look like? Like, have you some account abstraction? How do you bind the user information to the addresses? Are you keeping it completely anonymous?
Yeah, so we don't attach any metadata to an address. So it's literally just the address, and then they give us permission to score the address based off kind of our queries. And when a user sets up a profile or comes to DigitalScore for the first time, they have to set up a profile. And when you set up a profile, you can submit how many addresses you'd like to be scored. And they'll all be summed together. And so for some users, that's just 1 address. For other users like me, maybe it's 5 addresses. And so that kind of will all be counted towards your total score, which then you can now take into the cafe and apply for different opportunities.
And where's the profile information kept? Like, if you are creating a profile?
It's kept. We just keep the addresses for just to do the score, and then it's taken away.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
There was a question over here, and
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for the presentation and the great slides. The question I have is related to the roadmap somewhat you have.
Cool. Yeah.
So there's a lot of, I think, a lot of Web3 somewhat holds into what we're also going to do related with, the governance questions and development, and particularly also, governance participation. And so I think a lot of, projects that have decentralized their governance models are right now looking for people to actively participate in their own, in the governance setup that they've created. And I wonder whether, you have any idea for how to tackle that, maybe, that profiling mechanism. Because for me, looking at, DeFi activity specifically to try and create clusters of users, etc., is maybe more looking at proficiency in Web3 and related to DeFi, rather than maybe looking at reputation per se. Because what is reputation, in the first place? What is a reputable user for, say, a new governance framework of a, could be anything. We have DAOs now for, farm projects, etc. So I wonder what kind of, if you have a roadmap, or how you think in terms of reputation for governance, so to speak, and how do you think that on-chain data can be used to do that triage?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think governance is super interesting because basically, it's still very much evolving. I think some of the most advanced stuff I've seen is in Maker, with that kind of delegates and people kind to set up their reputation to be more of a governance player. Governance is something that we wanted to track for DigitalScore V2, and we do that through Snapshot. So if someone votes in a governance project, they can, we store that stuff, and we store that what their activity is done in Snapshot, and then they get points for that. We haven't done, any partnerships around governance yet. I definitely think it's an interesting area to explore with the right kind of protocols that really have a demand for it. I think you touched on an interesting point, which we think about all the time, is what is a good user in DeFi? And there's kind of 3 different kind of pillars we look at when we think about how we built our reputation system. So one of them is kind of depth of knowledge. So a user that really understands a protocol and has gone into detail and done a bunch of actions around what you can do inside that protocol. That's going to be someone that really understands how the thing works and be really an expert. The other one is, being early and taking risks. So these are people that are open to trying new protocols. Maybe they've been rugged a few times, but that's just life in crypto right now. And that's, a sign that someone's really on the edge and exploring new protocols. And then the other pillar is kind of people that are willing to give back to the space. So maybe that's a donation or doing lots of governance work, or we'd like to do stuff with Gitcoin in the future. But these are kind of the pillars that we look at when we think about reputation. And on the governance angle, we've kind of touched at the surface of it with Snapshot, but we'd like to go a lot deeper and work with protocols. And there should be some opportunities to do that in the next few kind of months with what we're building.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you so much.
Okay, cool.
Another round of applause. That was a great presentation.
Thanks, guys.